So Manish Sisodia there, he's been granted bail by the Supreme Court in the Delhi Excise Policy case earlier today. He's walking out of jail after over a year, almost 1.5 years, 17 months. He was arrested in February last year and was the first big arrest as far as this case is concerned. Let me also go across to my colleague Ananya joining us. Ananya tracks the courts very closely for us. And Ananya, what is the basic premise on which Manish Sisodia was granted bail in this case?
Well, Shivani, Manish Sisodia has been granted bail and would be out, almost after 17 months of incarceration. The main ground on which he has been granted bail is the denial of a speedy trial to him. Remember that the court has not gone into the merits of this particular matter, has not, commented on the money trail or the evidence that is available with the Enforcement Directorate, but has only noted that since, the trial in this case is taking much longer than expected, and hence, Manish Sisodia is somebody who is being incarcerated, and this kind of incarceration is becoming nothing more than a punishment for him, and that's exactly why the Supreme Court, decided to grant him bail on a bail bond of rupees 10 lakh and 2 sureties of like amount, and various conditions have been imposed, like he has to submit his passport to the trial court and can only travel abroad only and when the court actually grants him permission to do so. And very clearly and categorically at this particular point of time, this is a big win coming in for the Aam Aadmi Party as well, because one of their most senior leaders would now be out, and it could help them politically as well.
Right. So it has been a series of bails. In Arvind Kejriwal's case, though, he's been getting interim bails, not really a full bail, as has been the case with Manish Sisodia now. Sanjay Singh got a bail much earlier, and a lot of questions were raised as to why Sanjay Singh got it, but Manish Sisodia, who had been in jail for longer, hadn't got it. Just for the benefit of our viewers, Ananya, explain why, for example, Arvind Kejriwal is no longer getting bail, but Manish Sisodia has, and Sanjay Singh did.
Well, because Manish Sisodia was one of the first arrests when it comes to the excise policy scam case, and he had been in jail for more than 17 months. Kejriwal was one of the last arrests in this particular case. Sanjay Singh secured a bail on a very different ground, since, the court didn't go into, in fact, the merits of the particular matter. It didn't go into Section 45 of the PMLA, which are stringent conditions to go into, because the Enforcement Directorate, agreed that he can come out on bail. But with regards to Arvind Kejriwal, remember that he is one of the last arrests that have been made in this particular case, and in fact, he is much more influential than, any day than Manish Sisodia, since he's the Chief Minister of the National Capital Territory of Delhi. And the High Courts and the Trial Court have been denying him bail, majorly on this ground and also on the grounds of Section 45 as well. But, Arvind Kejriwal's bail is to be heard by, in fact, the Supreme Court. In fact, the matter is to go before the Supreme Court. They'll have to file it. Recently only he has been denied a bail by the Delhi High Court. So now, in the CBI matter, while he is on an interim bail in the ED matter after the Supreme Court referred a certain...
Momentous visuals, viewers. 17 months in jail, in Tihar jail. Manish Sisodia, the former Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, walks out after being given relief by the Supreme Court, raising slogans there. Let's try to listen into what he's saying. difficult to pick up what Sisodia is saying there amidst that sea of people, mostly AAP supporters, turning up to welcome him, scenes reminiscent of when Mr. Kejriwal was released just before the election. In fact, 1 month before the election, Mr. Kejriwal was given relief and he walked out, and he could campaign, of course, for the Delhi leg of the election. That 1 month proved crucial, at least for him, and also, of course, he campaigned in Punjab. It didn't really deliver the AAP those many results, but that was a different election, viewers. Manish Sisodia now, senior most leader after Arvind Kejriwal, will take stock of the party, will give it direction. He already commands a great following within the party, will galvanize the party. Let's try to listen in again to what he's saying, if we can pick it up. For more on this, to get a sense of what Mr. Sisodia is saying, at least prima facie, it seems to be suggesting that he's thankful to the Supreme Court, respects the order of the Supreme Court, is going to abide by some of the conditions, which is, of course, not leaving the country, etc., restricting himself to the union capital. Besides, let's now listen in once again to what Sisodia is saying, viewers.
तो आपके प्यार की बदौलत, आपके प्यार के साथ साथ भगवान के आशीर्वाद की बदौलत, सच्चाई की ताकत की बदौलत, और सबसे बड़ी चीज जो बाबा साहब ने जो सपना देखा था कि कोई तानाशाही सरकार आएगी तो तानाशाही भरे कानून बना बना के जब नेताओं को, विपक्ष के लोगों को जेल में डालेगी, तो इस देश का वो संविधान जो बाबा साहब ने बनाया था उनकी रक्षा करेगी। एक आम आदमी जो तानाशाही के खिलाफ बोलेगा, तानाशाही के खिलाफ बोलने वालों को अगर सरकार जबरदस्ती जेल में डालेगी तो संविधान बचाएगा, आज और संविधान का रूल आज उस संविधान की ताकत से, सच्चाई की ताकत से मुझे देना नहीं। मैं आपको यकीन दिलाता हूँ, इसी संविधान की ताकत से हमारे प्यारे नेता अरविंद केजरीवाल जी भी बाहर आएंगे, जेल के ताले टूटेंगे, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी चले, जेल के ताले टूटेंगे, जेल के ताले टूटेंगे। ये संविधान की ताकत है कि हमारे प्रिय नेता, इस देश के लोकप्रिय नेता और इस देश के एक बच्चे के लिए शिक्षा से काम करने वाले नेता अरविंद केजरीवाल जी जल्दी बाहर आएंगे। और बाकी बात में हम बात भी करेंगे। बहुत भावुक मौका है सबके लिए, लेकिन एक नारे के साथ यहाँ से आवाज दे दीजिए, अरविंद जी तक भी पहुंचे और तानाशाह तक भी पहुंचे कि कह के जेल में भले ही डाल लोगे, लेकिन एक सच जो पिछले 10-12 साल से कायम रहा है वो कायम रहेगा कि भ्रष्टाचार का एक ही काल, भ्रष्टाचार का एक ही काल, भ्रष्टाचार का एक ही काल। अरविंद केजरीवाल, अरविंद केजरीवाल, अरविंद केजरीवाल। मिलते हैं सब लोग। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Let's go straight across to Ananya. I think Mr. Sisodia has said that he wants to end by celebrating the victory of democracy over dictatorship. And he's ended his address there, preferring to end it on a upbeat slogan. Let me bring in Ananya. Ananya, what are you really getting to hear from the AAP camp on the strategy ahead, and how are they seeing this?
Well, definitely, Rahul, this is a significant order that boosts up not only the Aam Aadmi Party legally but also politically because, one of their most senior leaders comes out of the jail almost after 17 months of incarceration and they are very, very hopeful that, they had to move a bail application for Arvind Kejriwal. Remember that he was denied a release a few days ago from the Delhi High Court and now the next step was Supreme Court and they were, anticipating this particular order so as to, take this next step with regards to the STM itself. And now since this order has come out, this has boosted not only them politically, but also very, very legally as well. And hence, they would be all hands on the deck would be there to actually file this particular plea for Arvind Kejriwal. They are very, very hopeful that they will be, securing a relief from the Supreme Court for the Delhi Chief Minister as well. But today, this order becomes very, very significant because though the court has not gone into the merits of this particular matter, though the court has not touched upon as to what the money trail involved, the evidence in this particular case, but the court has only gone on the fact that, there was a speedy trial that has to happen and that is something that is a part of natural justice and should be given to anybody, whether it's the CM or a common man under Article 21 of the Constitution. And hence,
With me, of
this
course,
was
the
not...
Supreme Court making it quite clear that this bail is unconditional and also has been granted because Mr. Sisodia deserves a speedy trial. Let me go across to Anshul. Anshul, what are you picking up from the ground there?
So yes, just a few moments ago, Manish Sisodia walked out of the jail finally after 17 months. There was a handful of workers of the Aam Aadmi Party that had gathered over there, but since it started raining, the kind of celebration that was being expected from the side of Aam Aadmi Party, that has not happened. Over the next few hours, it is expected that Manish Sisodia will first go to the residence of the Delhi Chief Minister and will meet with his wife, and post that he will go back to his family. And then tomorrow it is expected that Aam Aadmi Party will conduct a grand celebration welcoming back Manish Sisodia, because he is not only one of the most senior leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party, but also he is the person who will now be at the helm of the things as he has now come out. At this point in time, as we speak, Atishi was the person who was looking at the day-to-day work of the government. Now that would eventually be shifted to Manish Sisodia, and he will yet again be back to the helm of things of the Aam Aadmi Party and also of the Delhi government. It remains to be seen how eventually things will pan out for Manish Sisodia, as yes, the allegations against him are still very, very severe in nature, and the bail that has been granted as the investigation of both the agencies, that is CBI and ED.
Before he was incarcerated, Mr. Sisodia held about 17 to 18 portfolios, if I'm not mistaken. He in fact had a huge number of portfolios under him, and he was the Deputy Chief Minister. Is he going to be reinstated in that capacity?
So yes, I took this question to Saurabh Bharadwaj today, and he said that when Manish Sisodia went to jail, they made sure that his khadaos, as he mentioned, were put on the throne of the Deputy Chief Minister and the ministerial post that he was handling, and these were just makeshift arrangements that were made. And now, since he is coming out yet again, he will be handed over those responsibilities back, and he will be the point person for the Aam Aadmi Party in the absence of the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal.
Well, let's quickly go across to Kamru Chaudhary, who joins us for more on this. Kamru, you of course been part of the India bloc, given the fact that you're a Congress sympathizer, member of the Congress party in the past, etc. And of course, we also have Ajay Alok with us of the BJP. Kamru Chaudhary, the narrative that is being spun right now is that this is a victory for the truth. Even though the Supreme Court hasn't gone into the merits of the matter. So on what basis is this being seen as a vindication for the credentials of Mr. Sisodia, who's been under the scanner in connection with the Delhi excise liquor policy case?
Rahul, let me first not get into the merits of the case, whether Sisodia is an accused or will he be proved guilty. That only time will tell, and the courts are educating on that. But the most important thing is that starting from Hemant Soren to Arvind Kejriwal to Manish Sisodia, all these are stalwarts leaders of the opposition who are directly criticizing or directly in the line of fire of the Modi government. We all must understand that if there is an iota of truth in the allegations that the investigating agencies are pinpointing against these leaders, then credible evidence should have been supplied to the court of law till date. You see the judgment of Manish Sisodia today in the in the bail case in the Supreme Court, wherein the Supreme Court judges have criticized the agencies, in fact, criticized indirectly the Modi government for having failed to submit any credible evidence in the cases. They have even suggested that you have kept a deputy chief minister behind bars for the last 17 months without even submitting a percentage of evidence wherein Sisodia can be directly implicated in this case. So
Okay.
this all we feel, along with many of our Indians, we feel that this is a vindictive approach that is being adopted by Narendra Modi government. And I say that the investigation agencies of India have been weaponized by this regime. I'm very sorry to say, because the agencies that are there, they need to act as per the
Okay,
guidelines of the
Mr.
constitution,
Chaudhary,
not, yeah.
again, you said that you're not going to go into the merits of the case, but you've sort of elevated this to that particular stance, suggesting that this entire case was goosed up against Mr. Sisodia by vindictive agencies at the behest of the government at the center. So that in itself is a qualitative comment, really, on the case itself, the merits of the case. So let's not go there. You're saying that basically because the agency has not been able to produce proof in a court of law and has not been able to kick off the trial, which shows perhaps positive evidence that Mr. Sisodia has managed to secure bail, which in some ways proves that maybe there is no case against him. That's what you're saying. Okay, let me bring in Ajay Alok to respond to that. I think that's the way the courts are looking at it. If there is such evidence, so much of it, why hasn't the trial begun at the instance of the Enforcement Directorate in this particular matter, sir?
Well, Rahul, if you look into the Supreme Court's observation, he is being considered as a criminal, but he is being given bail. One, there are too many evidences, more than 400 evidence, which needs to be presented before the court, and it is going to take substantial time. That's what the court mentioned, number one. Number two, the court has asked him to surrender his passport and report to the police station every Monday like a regular criminal, though he's a financial criminal accused of a fraud. Number three, there are ample evidences because in past when Supreme Court denied the bail, Supreme Court very clearly said that yes, we have ample evidence that Manish Sisodia is linked in accepting money for the bribe in Excise Policy case. So it is nothing to celebrate. A bail is a right of every Indian citizen till the time the trial is going on. That's what the Supreme Court has said, that it's a sacrosanct right till the time the decision comes. But that doesn't absolve him of his guilt, what he has done. And there's ample evidence in front of the ED, and they will ensure that the speedy trial will continue. Merely getting a bail does not mean that you are not convicted. And by the way, Mr. Kamrul, why you are demeaning Rahul Gandhi? You are saying these stalwart leaders are in a direct line of fire from Modi government, Sisodia, Arvind Kejriwal, Hemant Soren. Rahul Gandhi is also on bail. I won't be surprised if his bail gets cancelled and he goes into jail. Then you will say take Rahul Gandhi's name. So it's better you start with your own leader than to start with other leaders. I mean, you guys are so much habituated to taking shoulders of other people that you're forgetting your leader's name. That's real pity. So it's not a time for celebration, it's a time for retrospection. That what next? How long you are going to evade that?
Let me tell you, viewers, that in the past when bail has been denied to Mr. Sisodia or Mr. Kejriwal or other tall leaders from the Aam Aadmi Party, then the Aam Aadmi Party has raised questions, in fact, against the courts and the process. Let me run you through something that we have found in the past as far as Supreme Court observations are concerned with regards to Manish Sisodia. The Supreme Court observed that Manish Sisodia's formulation of excise policy was meant to give windfall gains to distributors who in turn agreed to give kickbacks and bribes. The Delhi High Court in the past has said that Sisodia abused public authority. Sisodia destroyed crucial evidence. The trial courts have come out and said Sisodia played most important role in criminal conspiracy and deeply involved in the formulation of the policy. Prima facie, he was the architect of criminal conspiracy. Till a week ago, AAP was questioning the wisdom of the Supreme Court, as we all know, viewers, and the High Court and the trial court. Today, of course, it is celebrating this as the victory of the proof. So there has been inconsistency there. The courts themselves have a view on this particular matter. They haven't gone into the merits, and I do commend Kamru Chaudhary for restricting his commentary to the process rather than, in fact, the nitty-gritty of the case. So, Kamru Chaudhary, I have to ask you this question, because Lalu Prasad Yadav, when he was being tried, was out on bail. He was jailed initially, then out on bail, and then he was convicted, not once, not twice, not thrice, but 5 times in 5 different cases. So, one should not immediately come to the conclusion that there is no case, the kernel of the case is weak, etc., etc. Would you not agree, Mr. Chaudhary?
No, Rahul, today's debate or the High Court or the Supreme Court's observation in this particular case, I believe the most important takeaway is the comments on the bail. How the Supreme Court today lamented that the trial courts and the high courts in the country have forgotten the principle that bail is the rule, jail is an exception, and attempted to play safe so far. In this regards, you have cited Lalu Prasad's case, it's a very fine example. But let me cite you the case of Umar Khalid. However you despise him or don't like him, but the fact remains this man is behind bars for the last 1500 days and counting.
Yeah, but you can't compare the two issues, because the charges against... One minute, Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, 1 second. The charges that have been brought against Umar Khalid, now whether you agree with the law, the draconian nature of it, you might want, of course, amendments made, but the law itself is a very stringent law which doesn't guarantee bail. In fact, the test for bail really is very, very high in that case. So let's not compare apples with oranges. I just want to quickly go across to Akashdeep Muni. BJP spokesperson is also here with us, Ajay Alok. Akashdeep Muni, let me take you back to the 1st of November 2023. At that time, the Supreme Court denied Mr. Sisodia bail. And at that time, Raghav Chadda said, Panchayati Justice, do read this piece that respectfully disagrees with the Honorable Supreme Court's verdict denying bail to Manish Sisodia. This is what he had sort of adduced. And today, of course, he says the entire nation rejoices as the hero of Delhi's education revolution. Manish Sisodia has been granted bail. I express my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Supreme Court. So the AAP itself changes its own position depending on the award from the Supreme Court. So it's clearly not very convinced of its own case, isn't it?
Rahulji, I will be just speaking on the comments of Honorable Supreme Court today.
Yeah.
And what the Honorable Supreme Court said today is very scathing against the premier investigative agencies that we have in this country. It seems like that the premier investigative agencies have not been doing their investigation properly, and it seems that they're acting as according to their masters, according to which they are...
No, where is this written there? There it is that, you're saying that you made it very clear to me, 1 second, that you were going to tell me what the Supreme Court has said. Now you're adding context which the Supreme Court hasn't, and I don't want to get into trouble, allowing you to continue to put things in the Supreme Court's mouth that it hasn't actually said. Let me then, viewers, tell you what the Supreme Court has said today. Now, I've always believed, however, that bail is the norm and jail is the exception. And I've always here on this show constantly said, let's not read either meaning into these orders that are passed by the courts. When they deny bail, we shouldn't automatically assume guilt. And when they actually grant bail, we shouldn't assume innocence. Now, having said that, let me quickly put down what, in fact, the Supreme Court double bench said today. It said, and I quote, "We find that on account of long incarceration running around 17 months and trial having not been commenced, the appellant has been deprived of the right to a speedy trial. And this is the reason that he has been given bail." And the important part here is that there are no real conditions. Unlike in the case of Kejriwal, who was not allowed to attend office, go to his office, visit the office, assume charge, sign files, etc. Mr. Sisodia has not been, there have been no conditions imposed. So that's why I want to come back to you, Mr. Akashdeep Muni. In the interests of fair commentary today, how do you view this particular step that the Supreme Court has taken? Okay, we've lost Akashdeep Muni. Let me go across once again to Huda Zariwala. Let's get her into this. Huda Zariwala, what do you make of the Supreme Court's ruling today, saying that, look, in the interests of granting Mr., which is really his legitimate right, a speedy trial, we cannot hold Mr. Sisodia in prison just because the ED has been tardy?
Absolutely. This comes in at a time where for the past 17 months, there has been absolutely no trail of a trial. He was, in fact, denied a fundamental right in the Constitution. I'm talking about the Article 21 here. His right to life and liberty, his right to a fair trial. He was given none of that for the past 17 months. What was the ED and the CBI doing? Months after months, every single time we had a bail application, they had something to oppose on it. They have lakhs and lakhs of papers. We're talking about crores of rupees, which was, not a single rupee of corruption was established. The money trail wasn't established. So what is, the CBI and the ED even talking about? As far as the BJP is concerned, they're saying there's no reason to celebrate, but clearly this is a reason to celebrate, because at the end of the day, we're talking about a sitting deputy chief minister who genuinely has changed the face of the education model in Delhi. This is a gentleman who's genuinely done so much work for the schools, for the education, for the children of Delhi. And you are not able to establish a single rupee of corruption and crime against him. He's languishing in jail for the past 17 months. This is a clear case of political vendetta. This is a clear case of a witch hunt against him. In fact, even Arvind Kejriwal ji is going to be granted, bail very soon. We're very hopeful and we're very sure of that. We're talking about Manish Sisodia ji, who was not even named in any of the initial charge sheets, if you remember. We're
very
talking
quickly
about a gentleman.
Ajay Alok.
See, Rahul, I just don't understand that the simple logic is this, that he was in jail for last 17 months because investigations are going on. There are more than 400 witnesses which need to be produced in front of the court. That court remarked today. That is going to take a substantial time for 400 witnesses to come in front of the court and testify. So he got the bail. That's a fundamental right of any citizen. Keep on celebrating. Who stops you?
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're going to land up and face the trial. When you face the trial, you will end up being convicted. And as far as the school goes, there is another scam coming up, the educational scam in Delhi. You guys have taken slates and pencils of the students. It's there in the MCD now also. That's what you have done with the MCD schools. Forget about Delhi government schools. It's nothing. The AAP is the biggest PAP party this country has ever produced. Where Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, Minister,
Ms. Zariwala, let him finish. He didn't interrupt you. You had a free run of it, so let him finish. This is common courtesy. 495 witnesses and thousands of documents running into lakhs of pages have to be examined, studied, etc. These people have to be produced before the court, and therefore, since that procedure will take long, the court decided in its exalted wisdom that at this moment there is no need to actually keep Mr. Sisodia incarcerated because the charge sheet, the principal charge sheet has been filed. In fact, Mr. Vishwanathan, the justice, came out and in fact made a comment that the last charge sheet came in on the 28th of June, but the Supreme Court was told by the ED that it was in the process of filing a supplementary one, which means that even if the ED felt, unless all charge sheets were filed, the trial can't actually begin. So it's not because there is no evidence. They're just wanting to add more and more supplementary charge sheets, which is taking up time. So I think anyone coming out here, Ms. Zariwala, and proclaiming that Sisodia is innocent would be actually doing a disservice to the procedure laid down by the Supreme Court, as well as, of course, in the CRPC when you go ahead and you prosecute such a case.
You're absolutely correct. There is no doubt about it. And to end with, there are conditions. It's like the only not condition that he can attend the secretariat and he can go to this office. But with any criminal getting bail, there is a mandatory process. You have to submit your passport. That will be taken for seizure. You have to go and report to the police station every Monday.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means that obviously he's still... He's still... Yeah, I mean, in all respects, he's still a suspect. Huda Zariwala, who can't be given free rein. That's basically what is being said.
He's considered criminal, waiting to be proved, which will be proved very soon. And then very soon, all those who are celebrating, they will again keep quiet and mum.
Okay.
I'd like to mention two things over here. I'd like to correct my esteemed panelist. He said that he's a criminal. Our law and constitution clearly states that any criminal or any person is innocent until proven guilty.
He only said he's considered a criminal. He's considered an accused, is what he's meant to say. Yes, go ahead.
And the second thing out here is we're talking about 17 months of him languishing in jail, assuming that he is innocent, which is what the Aam Aadmi Party assumption and the the party line is, and we are very sure of that. Will the courts, will the ED, will the CBI, will the BJP be able to return those 17 months of the time that Delhi lost, Manish Sisodia ji lost, his family had to, bear all that trauma and trouble, in his absence? We're talking about a very unfair situation over here because...
No, are you suggesting that a person who has bona fide cases against him should have continued in office under a shadow of such? I mean, you're inverting the principle of political morality completely. There were people in the past, and hang on. Today, we all look up to someone like Mr. L.K. Advani, for instance, especially the Congress party that has been championing people like L.K. Advani, sympathetic about the fact that he has now only been reduced to the category of a Margdarshak. L.K. Advani set an important benchmark by suggesting that, look, as long as I am under suspicion, I will not hang on to a post. So I think let's not invert political morality or even morality. I think the right thing to do if you've got cases against you of such serious consequence in nature, and don't forget what the High Court and the Supreme Court have said, even the trial court have said, looking prima facie at the evidence that has been brought before them, the observations that they have made against Mr. Sisodia, they are not to be scoffed at. These are very, very important ones. But yes, I think, 1 second, Mr. Kamru Chaudhary is raising his hand. Yes, Mr. Chaudhary.
Yeah, basically, Rahul, today's judgment, you must see it in context with what happened with Arvind Kejriwal ji also.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he was about to obtain a bail from the Supreme Court in the ED case, the CBI lost a case against him and arrested him. So what's coming out in the public domain to a layman like me, sitting kilometers away from Delhi, and what's actually happened, I also don't know, and many people in this country don't know what's the actual true facts. But the perception that is building out here, that the investigation...
Perception is building. Ajay Alok, respond. This is the perception he's talking about.
The perception is already there. The perception is already there in the streets of Delhi.
Mr. Ajay,
Kamruji,
you have weaponized the investigative agencies.
The perception is already there.
That is the bottom line. You have weaponized the
investigative
agencies against the opposition political parties.
Who has looted Delhi in every aspect. Right from water, right from liquor, right from education, right from even tablets, medical tablets, right from hospital. They have looted every aspect of Delhi. Right in the Discom. Everything is coming up, and the perception, go and move in the streets of Delhi. Now people are getting water bills.
Rahul, what these people, they will be very selective in picking out the scams. But what happened to the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra?
Okay, no, 1 second. Listen, let's just stick to this. No, hang on. All those, 1 minute, Mr. Chaudhary. Look, let's not bring in other cases here. I never raised the case of Rahul Gandhi and others. All cases
he
have
only
different
brought about
circumstances.
Rahul
No, one
Gandhi.
second. All cases have different circumstances, different points of obvious interpretation. So let's not go there. Let's go by what this particular case has brought out. It has brought out a delay which is unacceptable in beginning the trial, which has led to the courts giving the benefit of doubt to Mr. Sisodia. He's been released on bail. It doesn't automatically mean, because the courts have made it very clear that they are not actually commenting on the merits of the matter. If you just go back in time, viewers, and you look at what the Delhi High Court has said, or even the Supreme Court has said about Mr. Sisodia and his alleged involvement in the Delhi Excise Policy case, those are not very flattering comments that were made about him. That's the only time when the courts really were looking at the evidence and pronouncing observations on the evidence before them, and certainly that evidence was not trifling and it wasn't easily dismissible. Anyhow, viewers, we don't want to keep going around the bush here, because fundamentally this matter is sub judice. Mr. Sisodia has won a very important relief today. What he does with it, how he sets the narrative with it is important, and whether the people actually at the end of the day believe that narrative is important. Mr. Kejriwal was given bail. At that time, the AAP said, which was in the run-up to the election, that this was an indication that he was innocent, that there was a witch hunt against him, that Mr. Modi had turned into a dictator. The public in Delhi did not respond. It elected 7 BJP MPs. In Punjab, the AAP did not benefit. So let's hold our horses. How this plays out in the public domain over the next few weeks, months, days, we can't say. Let's come back to this story in the days ahead, and let's see what the ED can do to kickstart the trial at short notice. Viewers, let's move on.